Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and it's mailbag time presented by RexMD. If you got a hard time getting it up, whether you say pecan, all of it's nuts. We know that. So go to rexmd.com/chat, the #1 leader in men's telehealth. This show was filmed on Friday during our happy hour show, so I'm probably going to need some RexMD. Let's go to Hellcat Q. I 100% believe the Raiders will get a QB in round 1. To me, the only quarterbacks that the Raiders have a real chance of getting, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, in terms of those are the only ones that I believe that they actually want in the top 7 picks. Let's go to Brandon Morgan. You're next up here on the Raiders Report. Am I the only one who thinks Siaki Ika, the defensive tackle from Baylor, is being overlooked or undervalued? So one of the things that I have discussed in the past is all the concentration right now is on Jalen Carter. All the concentration right now is on Kalijah Kancey. Then there's Brian Bresee. He's a good player. I just don't want the Raiders to take him at number 38, and I don't think he's going to be available at 70. Big body, double team guy. The Raiders already took somebody like that in Neil Farrell Jr. So good player, just don't think it ultimately is the right fit for the silver and black. Let's go to Shane Gamble. What's up, my brother? Raiders should only trade up if Bryce Young falls to 3. Otherwise, they should look to trade back and get more picks. Even if Bryce Young is available at number 3, I will continue to say, unless it is like a steal of a trade for the Raiders, like a deal that is so good that you'd be stupid to pass up, then I might change my mind a little bit. But I agree in the idea of the Raiders, to me, are the best this season if they trade back, get as much picks as they possibly can, get the extra draft capital to rebuild that defense, and if they want to take a quarterback on day 3, if you want to get somebody a little bit later that you can have be that backup to Jimmy Garoppolo, learn underneath Brian Hoyer, and then have that guy be a potential quarterback in the future, then you can do that. But also, by going that path, you don't lock yourself in saying that's our next franchise quarterback, and you still leave the door open to taking a Drake May, Caleb Williams in 2024. Let's go to Dwight. What's up, brother? Mitch, did you see this Jacobs trade idea? Jacobs to Seattle for a 3rd and a 5th. I did actually see this. Our Seahawks show here at Chat Sports put it, and I think Jeremy Tyler made the graphic in Seahawks if you want to go check it out for the trade. So, yeah, there was a trade that some guy who writes for the Seahawks wrote an article around. All right, so there's a lot of controversy around Josh Jacobs with the Raiders. So could there be a potential trade? I'm going to tell you all this right now. You're not going to like this trade idea whatsoever. So the controversy is Jacobs hasn't signed his franchise tender, which means he's not going to be there for the offseason programs, which begin next week, right? Or I think it's 2 weeks from now. Either way, not going to be at off-season programs. And they're not going to get 2 first-round picks because nobody's going to answer the tender. So if there's a area where Jacob says, hey, give me a brand-new contract, McDaniels and Ziegler say, not going to happen, you're going to play under the tag. Jacobs then says, I'm not playing under the tag, trade me right now. Then this is when this trade would potentially be there. I already basically know y'all's answers to this, but to me, I don't make this trade because this trade does not make the Raiders better. If you want to get a 3rd and a 5th round pick for Josh Jacobs, to me, that's just bad coaching. It's bad. I would rather, and this is me, somebody who is not team pay running backs, I would rather the Raiders give Josh Jacobs a contract extension rather than you get a 3rd and a 5th round pick for arguably the best running back in the National Football League. Because also, if you do plan on getting a new quarterback this year, next season, you're going to have a star-studded RB. Star-studded running back. Yeah, let's go with that. And the Raiders don't have one of those on their roster. To me, this is a clear win for the Seattle Seahawks, and I'd be one ticked-off dude if McDaniels and Ziegler ended making up this deal go down. Now, today's show sponsor is RexMD, and for all the guys out there, you don't got to tell me, but we've all had those moments. At least, I would imagine, maybe I didn't when I was in my early 20s and teens, but I'm getting up there in age now. I'm 30, and when I've had a few too many beers and maybe some whiskey, I don't want to slump like that. So listen up right now, fellas. Do you sometimes lack the confidence in the bedroom? We've all had those nights where we get too nervous or maybe had too much to drink. There's nothing worse than not being able to put the stick shift into drive when you need it the most. But have no fear, Rex MD is here spreading cheer even when you've had too many happy dads. Rex MD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored the Raiders Report to help you always be prepared. Rex MD has made it simple, easy, and cost-effective to help all the men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. Rex MD makes getting generic and brand of Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver it discreetly to your door. No waiting rooms, no embarrassing trips to the doctor, no insurance, and no co-pays. Take advantage of their best deal they have ever offered and save up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. Go to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat for up to 90% off. Huge shout out to RexMD for sponsoring the Raiders Report. Let's go to Michael. Panthers will take Stroud. Frank Reich saw Andrew Luck's play style in his final season. He tried to replicate what he saw with Ryan and Wentz. He will continue his trend by taking Stroud. I'll say this. If you're Frank Reich, why would you want to replicate that? Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, both quarterbacks were not very good. They weren't good. Matt Ryan stunk. And then on top of that, yeah, Frank Reich might want to go with C.J. Stroud. Those are the reports. But now there's even new reports out there that David Tepper, Carolina Panthers owner, he likes Bryce Young and he likes Anthony Richardson. So could you have a battle between head coach and owner? And if you do, I think the owner's probably going to win that battle. Let's go to Cody Wells. Trade Jacobs and draft Bijan Robinson. Hell to the no. I do think Bijan Robinson is the best running back in this year's class. No doubt about it. But I ain't taking Bijan Robinson at 7. I'm not team take running back in round 1. I'll tell you that right now. And if the Raiders did do this, this would be worst case scenario for the Raiders to take Bijan Robinson at number 7. I'm not doing it. If you traded Josh Jacobs and you got 2 first-rounders because somebody was dumb enough to offer him the tender, all right, well, now we can talk about something a little bit different. But even on top of that, I'm not taking a running back in round 1 when you're the Raiders, when you have the amount of problems that they do on the defensive side of the football. Sorry, David. Or Cody. Let's go to Alex. Budda Baker changed his profile on Twitter. What if the Raiders get him in a trade to move up to number 3? So I did see that Budda Baker, star safety for the Arizona Cardinals, not only changed his Twitter picture, he was like in a Cardinals jersey, and now he's just wearing street clothes. He also had Arizona in his bio. He took that out. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Budda is one of the best safeties in the NFL. Super versatile, would be a hell of a player on the back end. And I know that they have Marcus Epps and they have Trevon Merrick, but Trevon Merrick is not a Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler guy. I do personally believe that if the Raiders and Budda Baker somehow was in a deal to go up to number 3, the Raiders would also trade away Trevon Merrick in some sort of deal. The other problem with that, though, is Baker's one of the highest paid safeties in the league, so I don't think that this ends up going down. It'd be interesting, though. Let's go to Carter. Realistic, unbiased chance Raiders make the playoffs. I would say one just win, baby. I mean, they went 6-11. I still don't believe in McDaniels and Ziegler. I still don't know what they have done in the draft yet. I mean, if they have an amazing draft, my answer might change. But to me, they went 6-11 last year. They have not gotten better in the offseason, so it's hard to believe it to think that they're going to be a playoff team. Let's go to Hank_T. Mitch, what are your thoughts on Clayton Tune? I was trying to think of a funny joke about I'm getting tuned up on him, but Tom told me to go scout Clayton Tune probably 2 weeks ago. So I started doing more homework on him. I started to evaluate him as an overall prospect, and I like him. He's a good quarterback. But my question for all of you out there would be, if you're looking in day 3, right? The 3 day 3 quarterbacks that I like the most are Clayton Tune, Jake Haener, and Aidan O'Connell. To me, those are the 3 quarterbacks that I would like the Raiders to look at the most to fit the McDaniels system on day 3. So with that being said, who's the best late round QB? If let's just say all 3 of these guys are on the board and you're going to get a quarterback in round 5, Would you go for Clayton Tune, type CT? Would you rather get Jake Haener, type JH? Or would you rather get Aidan O'Connell from Purdue, type AO? To me, from what I understand from my sources, they like Aidan O'Connell the most. That's their guy. They have had their eyes on him, for what I understand, for months. So it won't surprise me if they end up taking him. But I am curious, because Tune to me is interesting, but he's probably the guy that I like least on the board in terms of these guys right here. Let's go to I'm Punchy 33. What happens when we win more than 6 games and don't have a top 10 pick next year to try to get up to 1 or 2? You just keep on trading away players. You trade away players or you trade away a lot of draft capital to try to get up there. The San Francisco 49ers are a little bit of an example to look at, where they had pick number 12. They traded away 3 first-round picks to get back up to number 3. If you're an NFL team and you look at a quarterback prospect and you're like, this is a guy that can be a franchise quarterback for 10 to 15 years, which I believe Drake May and Caleb Williams are, that's the type of player where if you got to give up 3 first-round picks to do it, you do it, especially when you're where the Raiders are currently at. Let's go to Dab City Bullies. Hey, Mitch, I agree if we can build a shutdown defense no matter what. We have a quarterback, it will help, and we get an elite quarterback with a shutdown defense. That's Super Bowl time. I agree with people who want to build this defense, right? If the problem is with the NFL, the concentration's always on the QB. And you're not going to be able to find a quarterback as good as Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be really tough finding somebody as good as Justin Herbert. But if you can have a lockdown defense, and if you can have a quarterback that's close to those guys, that's how you build a great team. And that is the benchmark of building a great team. Because if you put too much on the rookie, it hurts. You've seen it with Herbert. Herbert has all the talent in the world. But that team falls apart when it matters the most. And they definitely fell apart in the playoffs last year as well, which Herbert deserves a lot of blame on that. Now, if you haven't already, I never want you to miss anything around the Raiders. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and I think you're going to have a good time here. Whether we're live on Tuesday, Thursday for our challenge show. If you don't know what our challenge is next Thursday, Jeremy and I, all I'm going to say is we got to eat 500 grams. It's 4:20 on Thursday. Jeremy and I, 500-gram challenge. Tune in. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go to David Zahn. He wants a quarterback next year. Shout out to Mount Raider more. Zahn, who's your guy? You want Williams? You want Drake May? You want somebody else? What if another quarterback pops up out of the blue like a Joe Burrow? Maybe not exactly like Burrow because, that one's an anomaly. But what if there was another quarterback that pops up and now there's 3 QBs that everybody looks at? It's interesting. Let's go to Gatling Gun. Lester Hayes needs to be in the effing Hall of Fame. There are a lot of players from this Raiders old days that should get in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully, he gets in, but I agree, man. Let's go to Drago099. What would be a surprising pick the Raiders make at 7 that you would like? Oh, boy. Julius Randle news for Marsh. Surprising pick that I would like. All right, I'm just going to go with Peter Skoronski. I love Peter Skoronski. To me, he's a player that is one of the best overall. He's the best offensive lineman in this year's class. His arms are pretty short. I do think if you needed to play him at tackle, he could do it. To me, though, he's going to be an all-pro guard. He's Quentin Nelson to me. I really think he's that good of an overall player. Would it be a surprise? Yes, because I want the Raiders to go defense. And I think if they don't go defense, they probably go quarterback. And I know a lot of people would be upset about Skoronski, but I also think he's such a safe pick, and he's such a good prospect. And him on our offensive line would be very, very elite. You put him at left guard next to Colt Miller, you probably kick Dylan Parham over to right guard or put him at center. You're looking at one of the best offensive fronts in the NFL. So what do you think here? If the Raiders ended up taking Peter Skoronski at pick number 7, how would you grade it? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know right now. I know it would surprise me, and it's not defense, but Skoronski at 7, I would love what the Raiders would be able to do on the offensive line enough that I'd give it a B+, and A- grade overall. Let's go to Joe. What's up, my brother? Hey, Mitch, peeps are saying Renfro is as good as gone. Peeps have been saying that for a very, very long time. I don't like peeps either, to be honest with you. They're not very good. But I was also one of the people that said that. And to me, that there is still a chance that Hunter Renfro gets moved on from. And I do think if it ends up going down, you got to look at his contract. It'd probably be after June 1st, because if the Raiders trade away Renfro before June 1st, it's like a $7 million dead cap hit, and they save $5 million. However, if you do it after June 1st, you save over $11 million, and it's only a $1 million dead cap hit. So the Raiders have made some interesting moves. I also think, though, by them hiring wide receiver coach / special teams guy Danny Amendola, who was a great wide receiver in the slot, very similar skill set to Hunter Renfro, they hired him to potentially get the most out of a guy like Renfro. I want Renfro to work out, but a lot of the moves that this team has made in the offseason suggest that they could potentially be looking in another direction. Now, if you haven't already, hit me up on Twitter. I am at Mitchell Renz 365. Huge shout out to everyone who's tuned in to today's live show. The closer and closer we get to the draft and the offseason, it's very important to stay in the know, and I would say Twitter is probably the top place to do that. So, Mailbag here, presented by RexMD. You know who's got no problem getting in a good bang? Raider Honcho bang! Get the boot for my first bang, Raiders! This is going to be the end of the mailbag, so if you're watching this right now live, put those drinking pants on, get ready for a hell of a day, because happy hour is about to start. If you're watching this, not on Friday. Remember, every Friday show, we do happy hour. We try to get our weekend kicked off the right way. So set a reminder, join us next week, because Jermaine Illuminor, Raiders starting right tackle, is going to be joining the Raiders Report for Raiders Friday Happy Hour.